mature and still reflecting on your past in a manner of not accepting. Part of maturing, I do apologize. Maturing, yes. Part of maturing is really getting to the point where you accept your flaws and work on them. You accept your flaws, do better. You accept what happened, you do better. You don't constantly reflect on it and live in it. You don't get out the mud just to stay muddy. You get out the mud to get clean. And when you're clean, you're able to look at a clean person. You're not constantly looking at this person covered in mud. And force yourself to deal with the life of being muddy, but having to be in a clean environment. So you get clean and you reflect on being muddy. You say, man, I used to be muddy, but I'm clean now. I'm moving forward. If I get muddy again, I know how to get clean. And that's part of maturing. But also it's part of reflecting on your motivation. And that's what I feel like a lot of education when it comes to motivating self and motivating others. It's more about where the person at, where the person's trying to go. If you don't understand where the person at, it's going to be challenging trying to get them to go somewhere. So that's why it's really important when you're motivating others, you motivate them in a manner where they can help themselves. Because you're not going to be the person to necessarily help them. You're going to guide them as they go along their journey. But when it comes down to help means you're accountable. And if you really want to help somebody, you can't be accountable. You have to help them learn to be accountable for themselves. And that will be necessarily helping them. But going along for the ride with them is not a healthy way of helping somebody. So we have to really focus on the motivation of somebody and really understand what motivates them. Because what motivates them is going to help them get to where they're trying to go. Because that's the whole purpose of communicating. The purpose of communicating is helping somebody get the disconnection. That's the only reason to communicate. There's a disconnect between two parties, and we're going to use communication, verbal, nonverbal, to complete the task. Now, everybody has a different task. So that's why I really focus when you're in these situations to carefully think about what's going on before you jump into it. So people look for the quick help. And I do it myself sometimes. I have a conversation, and before we get to that point, I'm like, you want the quick or you want the long? Now, there's consequences for both. The long, people become impatient. The quick, the job gets done, but people don't want to follow up. It's like over-the-counter medications. If you read the label, it says you take X amount of days, consult with your physician. Yes, if you're taking this med too many days, it may be something bigger going on. And the same thing with the long way, you may be waiting for a while. You may be waiting a while for a doctor's appointment. You may be waiting a while at the ER just for the ER to give you a quick fix and tell you go see your doctor. So people definitely don't want to hear that. And I feel like that's definitely what lane I'm in. I'm not with the shenanigans of, okay, I don't know. I know. I just focus on doing better because that's part of my internal motivation. When I was growing up as a young black man, I was maybe like an early teenager, and I noticed I didn't have any positive male role models. And I looked to my mother and my aunties and all the women in my life as their male figures. And during that time, I was constantly searching for, okay, I want to be like him. I want to be like that. And I came to the conclusion around the age of 16, 17 that I'm going to be the role model. You know, I'm going to motivate myself to be the role model. So in my everyday activities, I carry myself in a manner as I'm the role model. Now, I don't put myself in situations where I force myself on people. I'm just the constant role model. I'm very consistent in my life, and I'm very consistent about growing. Because in order to be the best person you are, you got to grow. What's the point of living if you're not growing? Because you're forced to grow regardless. So why not motivate yourself to grow into something? And that's what I feel like is really critical with many people today. Many people are focused on small tasks and not the big picture of the small tasks. Everybody is affected differently, and we try to put people in categories based on what motivates us. If you're connecting with somebody, you don't want to connect with them based on how you connect. You want to connect with them as a new connection. It's like a Wi-Fi device. You have to connect your devices to the Wi-Fi router. You can't just have a connection without putting in some work. That's really critical. And also, if you don't want people to have the connection, you definitely don't want to give out the password. And that's also really critical. If you have something and you don't want others to have it, there's nothing wrong with that. But you can't share your password and then be offended on how people deal with it. Because everybody can't handle everything you try to give them. That's why it's really critical to clearly process who you're communicating with and who is connecting with you. Because this connection is going to really affect how you're going to be connected back and how it affects your motivation. I know me in my past, when it came to people, I was scared to show people who I was because in fear of them not accepting me. But that's what I thought. But what I learned was I didn't show people who I was because I wanted them to like me. And as I matured, I noticed it doesn't matter if people like me, because I would truly never know if somebody liked me. Because I'm putting on a front, they easily can put on a front. So why would I force the situation of being something I'm not, hoping somebody that can like me and I not know who they really are? So I changed my approach, and my approach now is more, this is who I am. Who are you? Okay. How can we meet the middle? Connection. What's the connection for? How long the connection needed? And we moving forward. That's how I carry my whole life. And I definitely simplified it to, my internal motivation. My motivation is not for people to like me. It's not for people to respect me. It's not for people to love me. It's for somebody to want me. It's not for a forever relationship. It's more about meaningful connections. And when you say meaningful, the meaning is the work. So once I find out the meaning, okay, cool. I have to connect, because the purpose of connecting is, if I didn't have to connect, I wouldn't be having these thoughts of connections. It's like a problem. If you are looking for a solution, that means you have a problem. There's nothing wrong with a problem, but it's something wrong with having a problem but not wanting a solution. they go together. If you had doubt, you got a problem. There's nothing wrong with having doubt. But learning how to deal with it and how to move forward is really critical. And it ties into our motivation. And we're connected by our motivation. Me, when I'm dealing with my connections, it's really simple. I know I'm connecting. So when I disconnect, it's a simple process as the connection. I'm connecting because it's meaningful. What's the meaning? Let's max it out. Move on. I'm not going to connect, and in the process of connecting, I don't know why I'm connecting. That doesn't make any sense to connect. So we have to really keep that in mind when we encounter these situations, because if we don't do that, you're going to create unnecessary conflict. And we know how negativity is. Negativity is like weeds in a beautiful flower bed, because life is beautiful. And when we have these weeds that naturally grow, it's easy to see them. But when you're planting weeds, you're making them work twice as hard. It's like, if I'm taking this test, I know I have a test. I can study for the test and be prepared, or I can not study for the test and not be prepared. But I can't get to the end results of the test and be disappointed with the grade if I didn't put in the work that I could have put in and decided to not put in. I bummed a lot of tests in life. When I bum a test, I reflect. Okay, Michael, you bummed the test. Did you study? No? Okay, that's why you bummed the test. Simple. Do you want to pass the test? Yes. Let's study harder. I studied for a test. Fail it. I say, Michael, could you study harder? Could you get more prepared? Yes. Let's sort out a healthy way of doing this, Michael. I get it done. But that's my motivation. I would not take that same approach with anybody. I would ask, what's motivating you to pass this test? What's motivating you to take this test? And based off why they taking the test and why they want to pass it, connection, conversation there. Same thing when I'm dealing with my parents. It's mom, dad, this is what y'all doing. What do y'all want to do? Okay, cool. That's what you want to do? I respect that. All right, this is what I'm going to do in the meantime. This is how I'm going to support y'all. All right, cool. We'll reflect on it soon. Same thing with my kid, Before I sign Zoe up for something, I talk to her about it. I tell her what's the plan, what's the outcome, and we go from there. Now, I will say she don't know what in the world I'll be talking about sometimes, but we had the initial conversation. So, when we reflect on this conversation, it's there. It's not, well, we never talked about it. It's, okay, Dad, we talked about it. I didn't understand it. So we can talk about it again, go into a little more details. And I feel like in relationships with just anybody that you would consider the same way, it's, hey, we know what's going on, we can maximize it. If you don't know what's going on, you just set yourself up to start, you're setting those weeds out, you planting them, you're not necessarily watering them, you're just planting them. And you know how some weeds grow and we're not even feeding them. So definitely want to keep that in mind. And when it comes to like the domain of work performance, it's really critical to know why you're going to work. Alright? It's, okay, you're going to go to work, you're going to get paid. So now it's like, why I'm going to work? Why? Because you know you're going to get money, you know you're going to get paid. Why are you going to work? That's when it comes into helps you maximize your time at work. If you are in a situation where you're questioning why you're going to work, you got a problem. And don't say I'm going to work because I'm getting paid. You're going to get paid regardless. You can say